Bar for Bar album reviews. Monty Draper, Communion. Communion is the latest album from Richmond rapper Monty Draper. And with this project, Monty takes us to church. Kinda. The Communion in this sense, I mean, a lot of people immediately are going to think, oh, it's going to be a religious album. And while we do get bits and pieces of that here and there, that's not really the main focus of this project, at least not to me. To me, this Communion is more of a, compilation of emotions and ideas that Monty and others have had in conversations. The other thing that the word communion brings to my mind is a sense of community and togetherness. A sort of, we're all in this together, and together we can strive sort of idea. And that feeling and idea really comes from the opening lines of the title track Communion. A college dropout with $1 billion, a few times over, hurry, and gather round, children, red pill, quick, let's get them toxins out your system. So, right away, I mean, we have gather round, children, which always to me is like sort of a, let's come together, let's talk about something, there's something important to bring up, and in this case, it's, let's get these toxins out your system. Because the children are the future sort of idea. As corny as that sounds, I mean, we want to make sure that there are generations to come. And even beyond that, we want to make sure, I mean, if you're a decent person, you want to make sure that you leave the world whenever you do pass a better place than it was when you came into it. At least that's kind of the goal for a lot of people, I feel. So you want to have some sort of impact. You want to see others succeed. Speaking of the intro track, it does pretty well to introduce the project by having Monty talk about his come up and some of the things that have happened to him in his past. This track is probably the most churchy or religious sounding track, and that's primarily due to the production as well as the chorus from SoLauren. The next track following Communion is 98 Jabode featuring Brookfield Deuce. And if you aren't aware, Jabodes, if you don't remember the name of those jeans with the Velcro straps, that's what they are. And 98 being the year that they actually came out. So that's where the title of the track came from. But it overall gives a sort of be careful of who you're around and who you do business with sort of vibes. It's a mighty fine line between an op and a friend. You also get a little bit of a keep your friends closer and your enemies closer sort of vibe from it. The chorus also touches on something that a lot of other rappers have mentioned in recent memory, at least. And that's just like, there's a lot of people out there in rap who are just kind of faking it and saying they're doing things, but they really haven't, or they're not really about it. Just something that should be brought up every so often. I guess, like, if you make it a point that you're going to be telling a story and that you didn't actually do this, sure. But if you're going to go around pretending that this is actually what you did, the other thing that you want to make sure of is to keep that thing on you, because you never know. You never know when you might need it. Before I forget with this track, Deuce's verse is great too. I just love the way he comes in. Don't slow down at the yellow light. It's not a punchline, it's some real advice. Another thing to mention before I forget and get too far in is that a lot of production here was handled by Kevin Allen, and it's great. The only track that wasn't was Favor Weighs a Ton, which is produced by Rex Life Raj. But after 98 Jabode, we have Dialed In, which is probably my favorite song off the project, and I think that's mostly due to it being kind of an R&B sort of vibe, but not like just strictly R&B. Kind of like how in the 90s we had those R&B rap collabs very frequently. Like you'll have the slightly more, I want to say calm and softer chorus, and then you have these just hard bars, but they're all like, it's kind of like a love song still. Like it's just great, and Monty's singing on the chorus is phenomenal. Next we have Favor Weighs a Ton featuring Kevin Allen, which is, like I mentioned, produced by Rex Life Raj. And just a quick listen, solid track, and it's just smooth overall. Following that, we have another of my favorite tracks on the project, AT's Gospel, which features Kev, Brookfield Deuce, and Passwurdz. And I think it's Like if you're looking for just a straight up dope rap song, this is it. And maybe it's just because it's another crew cut, and the crew cuts are always what gets me. But this is a dope track. And if I were to say you had to listen to only one song of this album, it'd probably be this one. I just really love how the, I guess, intro, like where you would have just a regular, just one verse, you have Kev, Monty, then Deuce, like back to back, and then the chorus and then Passwurdz, and then chorus and Monty again. Like this track just says, hey, you know what you know about regular structure with features? Get that out of here. We're just gonna throw for a loop and give you something else entirely. But it's great. Like I just like the way it's done because it's unique. And there's no rules in this. You can do whatever you want as long as it sounds dope, right? This brings us to the final track on the project, White Label NFT, DOC's Gospel. It's a really solid outro, and it's a track essentially honoring the DOC and everything kind of surrounding his legacy. And, at first when I listened to it, it did sound a little off, but I'm just going to chalk that up to SoundCloud compression because that's the way I heard it first. But when I listened to it on the project, when it officially came out, and it just sounded so much better. And having the visual aspect to it, like, the visuals are great. Like, if you haven't checked out the video for it, definitely do so, because it's a really solid video. Like, everything's just, I don't know, it's just visually appealing, if that makes sense. It's hard to describe. So that's the project. 6 tracks with 17-minute runtime. It's great. And when I say it's great, I mean it's one of the albums that I've been listening to constantly. Like, how, well, I don't know if you know, but Tidal lets you know how many or what you've been listening to the most. And right now, it's this project by far. And that's impressive considering the other projects that I've been listening to are like 15 to 20 tracks long. So they kind of cheat and have a higher ranking. But it's just so easy to throw on. It's great to ride around to. It's great to have on in the background. It's great. Like, it's just a very enjoyable album and project all the way through. And I guess, you can argue that it's an EP versus an album. I'm going to keep calling it an album because it's easier for me. But I would love for this project to be extended or to have a follow-up, because this is just book 1. If we get a book 2 or just like a complete project out of it, that'd be dope. I'm totally here for it. My favorite tracks on this project, everything's good on this. Like, just listen to the whole thing. But if you had to only listen to a couple songs, like I mentioned, the ones that I really like are Dialed In and AT's Gospel. They're definitely the highlights for me. Again, though, this whole project is great, and it's 17 minutes long. You can you can spare 17 minutes to listen to dope music. I know you can. I'm glad it's here, and I'm glad I can talk about it because it's a great album. Can't wait to see what we get in the future. I know we should be expecting some more music from Grand National in the coming months. So excited for that as well. And stay tuned, because I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it. Those are my boys. But that's all I got. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this project if you have listened to it. And if you haven't listened to it, after you watch this, go listen to it, come back and tell me what you thought. Also, like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you for watching, and please stay safe out there.